The topic of work is investigation of the groundwater level dynamics in the rice system under different parameters of irrigation and drainage network. The authors of work is Turchenyuk Vasyl, Kropyvko Serhii, Koptyuk Roman, and Volk Pavlo from the National University of Water and Environmental Engineering. The main element of any engineered rice irrigation system is the rice irrigation plot. How successfully the design of the rice irrigation plot was chosen and its parameters were selected depends on how successfully it will perform its functions, which are creating an optimal salt, water, and air regimes for flooded rice and accompanying crops in the rice irrigation plot. The productivity of agricultural machinery during the performance of various agrotechnical operations, the productivity of irrigators, and the rational use of irrigation water depends on the design features of the rice irrigation plot and its main parameters. The composition and construction of the rice systems of the Danube region during their construction were determined by various factors. In particular, climate conditions, the fact that they are located in territories with complex hydrogeological and soil forming conditions, characterized by the close occurrence of mainly highly mineralized, low-flow groundwater. This in itself presupposed the presence of a powerful drainage network in the construction of rice systems, which also combined the function of a discharge system and was called a drainage discharge network. The aim of research is to study the dynamics of groundwater level formation on the lands of the rice irrigation systems, depending on the design features of the rice irrigation plots, as well as the influence of intensity and direction of filtration processes on the ecological and meliorative states on the lands of the rice irrigation systems and the yield of the leading crop of flooded rice. The research was carried out during 2011-2016 on 3 experimental rice fields with various parameters and designs on the Danube rice irrigation systems located in the Odessa region. In the slide, you can see schemes of 2 types of rice irrigation plot on the Danube rice irrigation systems. CCD, rice irrigation plot with an irrigator discharge in a notch and with drainage channels. KTC, rice irrigation plot with an irrigation channel in an embankment and with drainage discharge channels. The results of the groundwater level observations on CCD and KTC types of rice irrigation plots by using the network of boreholes indicate the existence of differences in the intensity and uniformity of the drying processes in these types of rice irrigation plots. As we can see in figure, on CCD type of rice irrigation plots, in the first 10 days of drying, the depression curves has well-defined slope in 2 directions, to the open drain and to the irrigator discharge, which indicates the operation of the irrigator discharge during this period as a shallow drain. Precisely due to the draining effect of the irrigator discharge, the process of the groundwater level lowering is in the rice fields during the pre-harvest drying occurs much faster on the CCD type of rice irrigation plots than on the KTC types. In central part of the fields with the inter-drainage distance 200 meters, during the first 5 days after the discharge of water, the depth of lowering the groundwater level is about 60 cm, and with distance 500 meters, it's only 20 cm. A similar situation observes on the 10th day after the discharge of water. Precisely for this zone of rice fields, according to the data from Measurements of the position of groundwater in the central boreholes were established correlations between the depths of groundwater level in the experimental rice irrigation plots and the durations of rice fields drying. Corresponding equations for different types of rice irrigation plots and different their parameters are presented in the slide. For conditions of CCD type of rice irrigation plots with inter-drainage distance of 200 and 250 meters, the groundwater level lowering to the required depths in 6 or 7 days after discharge of water from them. It takes 18-20 days for conditions of KTC types of rice irrigation plots with the same inter-drainage distances, and 22-23 days for conditions of CCD type of rice irrigation plots with inter-drainage distance of 500 meters. Due to the fact that on the CCD type of rice irrigation plots, it's possible to create a water regime that best meets the physiological needs of rice culture, as well as due to the uniform and more intensive desalinization of fields, a higher rice yield was recorded on them on average by 5-7 centners from hectare higher than on the control KTC type of rice irrigation plots with the same parameters, and by 17 centners from hectare higher than on the CCD type of rice irrigation plots with the distance between drainage channels 500 meters. The main conclusions of the research are presented in the slide. Thank you for your attention.